It is time for the college football preview videos. We're talking the Georgia Bulldogs up next. He's Ian Cameron. I am Drew Martin. Ian, we got the Georgia Bulldogs. Bet Online has them 10.5 wins, their season win total over or under. Not a lot of room for mistakes here for Georgia if you're looking to cash that over ticket. Also, week one, minus 20 points at Vanderbilt, an SEC East opponent here right off the bat, week one. What are you thinking this year for the Bulldogs in Athens?
Well, obviously the Georgia Bulldogs, Drew, they put themselves in that conversation in the SEC where it's reload, not rebuild every year. This is now a consistent program that's a force year in and year out. And I think for Jake Fromm, the starting quarterback, there's finally nobody that's nipping at the heels of him behind him in terms of the starting quarterback spot. You think of the last few years. Going back to when Jacob Eason was on this team, Justin Fields, of course, the last couple of years. All of those guys now have transferred and moved to other programs. This is, if it wasn't already, and obviously it was his team from a quarterback standpoint, has been all along, but it truly feels that way now. There's nobody lurking over his shoulder. I think it's going to be potentially a breakout big-time season for him. He's got lots of experience now, a couple of years now as a starting quarterback for Georgia. You bring back DeAndre Swift. One of the top running backs. Absolutely, he should be in the country this season, who's got a brilliant a combination of power and speed running the football. Definitely a situation that I think they'll be able to do what they want to do best, and that's be a balanced offense, be able to run and be able to pass the football off a successful ground attack. The receivers, at tight ends, a little bit of a question mark there. They lose, I think, three of their leading receivers production-wise from last year. But we know with Georgia, skill position talent, you're usually able to rebuild along that line. The Georgia offensive line looks absolutely sensational. Elite left tackle in Andrew Thomas, a lot of returning experience and strong play from this offensive line coming back this year. The defensive side of the football, certainly when you look at it, they've been very good on the defensive front the last couple of years. I think their biggest question mark would be the secondary. I think up front, linebacker, defensive line should still be pretty good. Their depth is strong in both of those areas, not quite as much in the secondary. Maybe a little bit of a small concern there. But I do think, Georgia, in terms of being able to recruit defensive talent, they're able to do that. And I think maybe at the beginning there'll be some adjustment in terms of the pass defense. Whether Vanderbilt in week one's able to take advantage of it is another matter entirely. But there's no doubt this Georgia team, I think defensively, yeah, maybe a little concern here and there. But offensively, boy, with the O-line, with Fromm back, with Swift the running back, they're going to be able to put up points, and they're going to be a handful on offense for opposing defenses to stop.
Yeah, Ian, you bring up some good points, and especially in the pass defense, it could be worrisome for Georgia. However, looking at Georgia's schedule, it's kind of backloaded. The heavy hitters of their schedule are towards the end of the schedule. In the beginning, it's Vanderbilt, an SEC opponent, Murray State, then Arkansas State, which is a quality program in the Sun Belt. However, caliber of athlete, they're going to be up against it. Notre Dame, a lot of people think takes a step back from that playoff run that they had last year. Still, it should be a big game there, week 4 in Athens this time. They do catch Notre Dame at home before a well-timed bye week. 3 games, Tennessee, South Carolina, Kentucky, all SEC East opponents. They're going to need to get all 3 of those, most likely, if you're going to hit your season win total over the 10.5, because going into the latter half that we just spoke about, Florida, of course, in Jacksonville, formerly known as the largest outdoor cocktail party, Missouri at Auburn. That's a tough one. Auburn is off of a bye on that November 16 matchup, Texas A&M, and then, of course, a rebuilding Georgia Tech team. It's a tough schedule, not necessarily the toughest in the SEC by any means. They do miss out on Alabama and LSU from the West. Very manageable for Georgia. What Kirby Smart's been able to do here in Athens in his 4 years has been very impressive. I think it's going to be a question, though, on the defensive side, because Jake Fromm, what he's been able to do at the quarterback position has been even more impressive. Just the accuracy that he has at the position, fending off all types of newcomers that have been recruited towards Georgia, very highly recruited all over the football field. It's a matter of this 10.5 season win total. I think that it's one that I'm really not too interested in pouncing on, because I could see it 11-1. Also 10-2 could be in the marks for Georgia. But week 1 against Vanderbilt, minus 20, I'm kind of hesitant here, because Vanderbilt, I could see him, kind of running the ball with some success, maybe some throwing success too, against the question marks for Georgia in their past defense. Do you have a lean here week one with the 20 points versus Vandy in Nashville?
It's a lot of points to lay on the road. Vanderbilt offensively really finished the season strong last year. It makes me think Vanderbilt could be able to, and especially in week one, the very first game of the season, may be able to take advantage of some of the shifting going along in personnel on Georgia's defense, particularly as I mentioned in that secondary. But I think Georgia's offense is going to look really, really good in this game. More than anything, I'm looking at a total in this game, maybe playing over the total. We'll see where the total comes out. But if it's anything in the low 50s, low to mid 50s in this game, I would think an over the total way might be the way to go here in this one. And it's worth noting Murray State is the second game the following week for Georgia, so there's no look ahead. They won't leave anything in the shelf here for this game. If you're Kirby Smart in Georgia, you've got Murray State in your second game. They'll go all out to beat Vanderbilt, and if they do, they still might cover that number.
Yeah, that will be a fun one. Week one in Nashville, Vanderbilt hosting Georgia. For Ian Cameron, I am Drew Martin. Stay tuned to the SBR YouTube channel. We're going to be breaking down a lot more college football teams and week one matchups. For Ian Cameron, I'm Drew Martin. Best of luck with your bets, guys.